At my 25th birthday gala, while I had my eyes closed making a wish, my best friend slapped me hard across the face. 3 times. I stood frozen in shock, clutching my burning, red cheek. Brooke raised her phone, filming me with a teasing laugh. They say if you slap your best friend 3 times, you get $10,000. Would you do it? I didn't hesitate for a single second. So, when is my 10 grand hitting my account? My boyfriend, Tyler, let out a soft laugh. He pulled out his phone and Venmoed her on the spot. You actually believe that silly TikTok challenge? Well, since today is Chloe's birthday, I'll make your wish come true. After receiving the money, Brooke wrapped her arm around mine and smiled sweetly. Chloe, babe, it was just a joke. You're not actually mad, right? A chill ran down my spine. I grabbed Brooke by her jaw, wound up my hand, and slapped her back. 12 times in a row. Then I turned to my stunned boyfriend, smiling sweetly. That'll be $40,000, please. Tyler finally snapped out of it, looking at me like I was a monster. Chloe Henderson. She's your best friend. How could you hit her that hard? He immediately turned to Brooke, cupping her face to inspect the swelling. Brooke held her cheeks, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. Chloe, we are done. I am never speaking to you again. With that, she ran out of the banquet hall, sobbing. Tyler shot me a furious glare before chasing after her. His look said it all. He was blaming me for ruining Brooke's mood. Today was my 25th birthday gala. Aside from my parents, who were currently in London on business, I had invited all my relatives. If things hadn't gone sideways, we were supposed to announce my engagement to Tyler right about now. But now, the groom-to-be was gone. My relatives sat in awkward silence, none of them daring to make eye contact with me. I took a deep breath and forced a polite smile. Everyone, thank you for coming. Initially, I wanted to use this party to announce my engagement to Tyler Vance. But that's no longer happening. The engagement is off. Please don't feel awkward. Eat, drink, and have fun. Today is still my birthday. Let's celebrate. The room fell dead silent for a second, followed by quiet whispers. But I didn't care. I sat back down at the head table, completely composed. Aunt Sarah was the first to speak up, smiling warmly. Well, Tyler clearly can't tell a diamond from a piece of glass. He was never good enough for you anyway. Uncle Frank chimed in immediately. Exactly. Chloe is the crown jewel of the Henderson family. Who does Tyler think he is? Your uncle will find you someone 10 times better. The guests laughed, and the tense atmosphere slowly warmed up. Near the end of the party, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a Snapchat message from Tyler. I managed to calm Brooke down. Come home, give her a proper apology, and we'll put this behind us. Expressionless, I locked my phone screen. Memories of our past flashed through my mind. I had always cherished my friendship with Brooke. I truly treated her like chosen family. But in the past, whenever we had a disagreement, she would give me the silent treatment until I bowed my head and apologized first. Over time, she got spoiled. She thought she could treat me however she wanted and make any offensive joke she pleased. If I didn't cater to her every whim, I was the bad guy. And after I started dating Tyler, things got even worse. At first, Tyler used to complain about Brooke, calling her a spoiled, dramatic brat. But later on, whenever Brooke and I argued, he stopped caring about who was right. He would always run to comfort Brooke first. Then he'd turn around and lecture me. Brooke is just sensitive. You have a better temper, so just let her have her way. I let her have her way, over and over again. I endured it for so long that I almost forgot who I really was. I am not a pushover. After the party ended, I went down to the parking garage alone to get my car. From a distance, I saw my sports car's headlights were on. Tyler was in the driver's seat. Brooke was lounging comfortably in the passenger seat, her bare legs stretched out on the dashboard, looking incredibly cozy. The two of them were leaning close, laughing and chatting. I walked up and tapped on the window. Hearing the sound, Brooke's smile instantly vanished. She pretended not to see me, staring straight ahead with her chin up, putting on quite the show. Tyler rolled down the window and frowned, signaling me with his eyes. Chloe, apologize to Brooke right now. You were completely in the wrong today. I crossed my arms and stayed silent. I wasn't the one who initiated the violence. Why should I be the one to apologize? Brooke lifted her chin even higher, her tone arrogant and dismissive. Like I'd even care about her apology. My face remained blank. I'm not apologizing. Brooke froze, clearly shocked that the usually submissive me would talk back. She immediately turned to Tyler, whining poutily, let's go. She's being impossible. You can't even reason with her. Tyler got out of the car, grabbed my arm, and dragged me to the side, his face full of impatience. What is wrong with you today? It's just a simple apology. Do you have any idea how soft-hearted Brooke is? She insisted on staying here to wait for you so we could go home together. She's giving you an easy way out. I violently yanked my hand back and said coldly, I don't need her charity. Hearing this, Brooke scoffed from inside the car and urged, Tyler, stop wasting your breath on her. Let's just leave. I didn't want to waste another second arguing. I marched over and threw open the passenger door. Get out. Brooke gasped, staring at me in disbelief. I looked down at her coldly. This is my car. If you two want to leave, figure it out yourselves. Brooke ended up crying as she scrambled out of the car. Brooke. Tyler tried to grab her hand, but she shook him off. He turned around to glare at me. But I didn't give him the chance. I slammed the door, stepped on the gas, and my sports car roared out of the parking garage, leaving them in the dust. In the rearview mirror, Tyler's face was a blank slate of shock. I didn't go straight home. I went to my family's office first. Today, I was supposed to sign and hand over a stock transfer agreement to Tyler right after the engagement announcement. It was a 10% share of the Henderson Group, a prenuptial gift my parents had prepared for me. The money wasn't a big deal to my family. My parents, who were often abroad, just wanted to make sure Tyler would treat me well for the rest of my life. In my office drawer, the brand new agreement was lying quietly. I took out a pen, crossed out every single clause, and signed my name to void it. Generosity is only valuable when given to someone who appreciates it. This heavy wedding gift had now turned into a useless piece of scrap paper. After handling the paperwork, I drove back to our shared apartment. I walked up to the front door and entered the passcode I knew by heart. The screen flashed, incorrect passcode. I paused, tried twice more, but the result was the same. The passcode had been changed. I pulled out my phone and called Tyler. The next second, a familiar ringtone echoed from inside the apartment. It rang for barely a second before being hastily declined. Then, the smart doorbell screen lit up. Tyler's cold face appeared on the screen. But in the corner of the camera feed, I caught a glimpse of a white silk robe. I knew that robe too well. It was Brooke's signature loungewear. A cold smirk played on my lips. Open the door. Do I need to remind you whose name is on the deed? Chloe, both of our names are on this property. I am a co-owner. I didn't argue. I just watched him play his pathetic game. This apartment was bought by Tyler's parents to make our commute easier, and they intended it to be our wedding home. Both of our names were registered on the title. After a tense silence, Tyler's tone softened slightly. Chloe, stop throwing a temper tantrum like a child. Apologize to Brooke, and I'll let you in. You really disappointed her today. I looked at the white silk hem fluttering in the corner of the screen and suddenly laughed out loud. Tyler frowned. This is the second time Brooke has tried to make peace with you. Don't be ungrateful and keep acting crazy. I raised my phone to the camera and smiled mockingly. Oh, I can act much crazier than this. For instance, I could call your dad right now and cry to him. In fact, he just texted me wishing me a happy birthday. Tyler's face instantly went pale. Don't call him. The man who had been refusing to let me in just a second ago threw the door open in a panic. I brushed past him and walked straight inside. Hearing the door open, Brooke flinched. She didn't even dare to look me in the eye. Clutching her slippers, she bolted into the guest bedroom, slamming and locking the door behind her. Standing in the middle of the living room, staring at the locked door, a memory from a year ago flashed through my mind. Back then, we had just graduated from grad school. Brooke had no family in the city and couldn't find a decent place to live. When she was at her lowest, she showed up at my doorstep with her suitcase, crying her eyes out. She begged me to rent her my spare bedroom. My heart softened, and I agreed immediately. I charged her a symbolic rent of $500 a month. To protect her, we even signed a formal lease agreement. But for the past 6 months, she hadn't paid a single dime. Knowing her financial situation was tight, I never brought it up. Tyler finished his call and quickly stepped in front of me, blocking my path. Enough. Brooke got slapped so many times today. She cried all afternoon. She has suffered enough. Don't go in there to provoke her and hurt her more. I slowly looked up at him. At this moment, I had to admit my taste in men was utterly garbage. Otherwise, how could I have ended up with such a pathetic boyfriend and a toxic best friend? Ignoring Tyler, I went straight into the master bedroom to pack my things. Seeing me pull out my suitcase, Tyler began to panic. What are you doing? Why are you packing? I only asked you to apologize. I'm not kicking you out. I folded my shirts and packed them into the suitcase one by one. Tyler, don't you get it? I'm dumping you. Tyler froze, his pupils shrinking in disbelief. He stood there for a few seconds before letting out a nervous laugh, his eyes filled with arrogance. Chloe, stop playing games. Over a small argument? You're breaking up with me over this? He stepped forward, trying to grab my wrist. I've been patient enough with you. You were the one who resorted to violence today, and I didn't even hold it against you. Without looking up, I said calmly. A small argument? Tyler, on my 25th birthday, in front of my entire family. Brooke slapped me in the face for some cheap cash, and you happily Venmoed her to cheer her on. And to you, that's just a small argument? Tyler choked on his words, his face turning red and white. Brooke, she's just immature. She loves playing around. She didn't mean any harm. Why do you have to be so stubborn? I finally stopped packing and looked him dead in the eye. She's immature, and what about you? When I was publicly humiliated, you didn't protect me. But the moment she sheds a few tears, your heart bleeds for her. Tyler, whose boyfriend are you anyway? Without a second of hesitation, Tyler replied, Of course I'm your boyfriend. But didn't you tell me to look out for Brooke in the first place? I didn't answer him right away. While packing, I suddenly noticed that my designer mink coat, the one at the very back of the closet, was missing. My mom had bought it for me at a luxury auction in Paris last year. Because I rarely wore it, I kept it tucked away in the back. If you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't even know it was there. But now, after clearing out my clothes, that spot was completely empty. I spun around to face Tyler. Where is my mink coat? A flash of extreme guilt and panic crossed Tyler's face. But he quickly recovered, pretending to be nonchalant. Isn't it in the closet? Are you sure you didn't misplace it somewhere else? He stepped forward, wrapping his arms around me from behind. If it's lost, let it go. Don't be mad. I'll buy you the exact same one. Just stop talking about leaving and breaking up, okay? My body went completely rigid. A faint but familiar scent of gardenia perfume drifted into my nose. It was the perfume Brooke wore year-round. The scent was stuck to him, making my stomach churn with disgust. I pushed him away with all my might. Did Brooke take my coat? Tyler immediately frowned and defended her. No way. Stop making wild accusations. Whether it's a wild accusation or not, I'm going to check. I marched out of the master bedroom. As soon as I stepped out, I heard a sharp, panicked rustle of a door closing from Brooke's room. Clearly, she had been eavesdropping the entire time. I stood in front of her door, my tone flat, giving her one last chance to be civil. Open the door. After a few seconds of silence, the door cracked open slightly. Brooke peeked out with one teary eye, looking extremely guilty. Did you borrow my mink coat? I asked directly. Brooke instinctively looked at Tyler behind me. Tyler immediately softened his voice, trying to reassure her. It's okay, Brooke. If you took it, just bring it out. No one's going to get mad. With Tyler backing her up, Brooke suddenly found her courage. She turned and walked back into her room. I pushed the door fully open. The next second, my heart stopped. My $150,000 custom-made designer mink coat was casually laid out on the floor right in front of her bathroom door, being used as a bath mat. The top-tier fur, which was supposed to be glossy and luxurious, was now gray, matted, and ruined. Several patches of fur had been rubbed completely bald, making it utterly unsalvageable. Brooke pinched the corner of the dirty coat with 2 fingers, looking disgusted, and tossed it toward me. Here's your coat. Take it. I didn't touch it. Instead, I pulled out my phone, opened the camera, and recorded a clear video of the ruined coat on the floor. I needed to preserve every bit of evidence. Seeing this, Tyler rushed forward to block my camera, shielding Brooke behind him. His tone was full of accusation. Chloe, what are you doing? It's just a coat. Why do you have to make such a big scene? I laughed out of sheer anger. Tyler, do you have any idea how much this coat costs? Brooke poked her head out from behind him, her chin tilted up defensively. Why are you being so stingy? It's just an old coat. You never even wear it. It was just sitting in your closet gathering dust. I thought you didn't want it anymore. What's wrong with using it as a mat? I raised an eyebrow, locking my cold gaze on her. You certainly have an eye for luxury. Out of dozens of coats in my closet, you managed to pick the most expensive one. A $150,000 designer piece, used as a bath mat. The moment the words, $150,000, left my mouth, all the color drained from Brooke's face. She turned pale as a ghost. She clutched Tyler's sleeve, her voice trembling. Tyler, what do I do? I didn't know it was that expensive. Tyler patted her back gently to comfort her. Don't worry, I'm here. I watched their pathetic display in silence. Tyler pulled out a blank checkbook from his suit pocket and thrust a check in front of me. Chloe, it's just money. Write down whatever number you want. I'll pay for Brooke. Let's end this here, and stop making things hard for her. I looked down at the blank check, finding it incredibly hilarious. I asked him. She ruined it. Why are you the one paying? Tyler furrowed his brows. What's the difference? My money, her money, it's all the same. Do you really have to be this petty over such a small thing? At that moment, I checked out completely. I took the check from his hand. Under their stunned gazes, I ripped it into shreds and let the pieces flutter to the floor. Before they could react, I dialed 91 high, I'd like to report a crime. Someone has intentionally destroyed my personal property worth $150,000. The dispatcher's calm, measured voice came through the speaker. Ma'am, are you in immediate danger? Please state your address and the nature of the incident. Tyler lunged forward, his eyes wide and frantic, swatting at my hand to knock the phone away. I stepped back cleanly, pivoting behind the kitchen island, and rattled off our exact address, the apartment number, and the details. Intentional felony destruction of personal property exceeding 5 figures. Unlawful entry into personal storage and refusal to vacate. The perpetrators are present. Chloe, hang up that goddamn phone. Tyler barked, his voice cracking into a shrill register I had never heard from him before. He slammed his palms onto the quartz counter. Are you out of your mind? You're calling the cops on Brooke? Over a coat? Behind him, Brooke had crept out of the guest room. Her face was pasty, the lingering red welts from my birthday slaps contrasting sharply with the sickly white of her skin. Chloe, please, Brooke whined, her lower lip trembling as she tried to slip into her well-rehearsed damsel persona. I said I was sorry. I didn't know it was that expensive. Who keeps a $150,000 coat in a regular closet anyway? You set me up. I didn't even blink. I spoke into the receiver. Officers are dispatched. Thank you. I'll meet them at the front entrance. I tapped the red button, locked the screen, and slipped the phone into my designer slacks. You have about 7 minutes before the squad car pulls up to the building gate, I said, my voice eerily calm, smooth as cold glass. If I were you, Brooke, I'd change out of that robe. It doesn't look particularly comfortable to be booked in. Chloe, that's enough. Tyler's chest heaved. He rounded the counter, trying to grab my wrists again, but I reached into my tote bag and pulled out a heavy brass car key fob, holding it up like a blade between us. He halted, startled by the sheer lack of fear in my eyes. Don't touch me, Tyler. If you lay a single finger on me, I'll add domestic battery to the police report. We are engaged, he yelled, his face purpling. We were engaged, I corrected, smiling faintly. Until about 2 hours ago. When you paid your little side piece 10 grand to assault me in front of 60 members of my extended family. The engagement was dead the second your Venmo notification chimed. She is not my side piece. Tyler roared, though his eyes darted nervously toward the hallway mirror, unable to hold my gaze. Brooke is our friend. She made a stupid mistake. And I offered to pay you back. I gave you a blank check. And I tore it up, I replied coolly, glancing down at the shredded parchment scattered across the hardwood like cheap confetti. Because your money doesn't wipe away criminal intent. And more importantly, Tyler, whose money is on that check. Tyler froze. Your checking account is tied directly to the trust dividend your father authorizes every quarter, I said, stepping past him toward the master suite. The same father whose logistics company relies on the Henderson Maritime shipping contracts for 70% of its annual revenue. You didn't offer to pay me with your money. You offered to pay me with the scraps my family throws to yours. Tyler looked as if he had been struck with an iron bar. His mouth opened, closed, and opened again, but no sound came out. From down the hall, the building's downstairs intercom buzzed sharply. The police had arrived. 2 patrol officers and a sergeant stepped into the penthouse 3 minutes later. Brooke immediately dissolved into theatrical hysterics. She threw herself onto The sofa, clutching a throw pillow, sobbing about misunderstandings, accidents, and how I was jealous of her friendship with Tyler. Tyler stood tall, smoothing his blazer, trying to project the aura of a wealthy scion handling a domestic inconvenience. "Officers, thank you for coming, but this is a purely civil domestic matter," Tyler said smoothly, extending a hand to the sergeant. "My fiancé is having an emotional reaction to a practical joke. No crime has been committed. We will handle the property value privately." The sergeant, a grizzled veteran with sharp gray eyes named Miller, didn't take Tyler's hand. He looked past Tyler directly at me. "Who made the call?" "I did," I said, stepping forward. I handed Officer Miller my driver's license, followed by a neatly folded document from my leather portfolio. "My name is Chloe Henderson. This is the deed to this apartment, which shows a 50% undivided ownership under my name. This second document is the original invoice, provenance certificate, and insurance appraisal from Christie's Paris for a one-of-a-kind sable and mink overcoat, valued at €148,000, approximately $160,000 US. I turned and gestured toward the open door of the guest room. The individual on the couch, Brooke, entered my private master closet. Without authorization, extracted the garment, and used it as a bathroom floor mat, causing permanent, catastrophic damage. She is not a guest, her sublease on the spare room was terminated due to 6 months of non-payment. This is willful destruction of felony-grade property. Officer Miller walked into the guest room, flashlight clicking on despite the overhead lights. He crouched down, inspected the matted, graying urine and water-stained luxury fur lying crumpled outside the tiled bathroom, and let out a low whistle. "That's intentional destruction, all right," Miller said, standing up and snapping photos with his department phone. He turned to his partner. "Bag it as evidence." "Wait. No." Brooke shrieked, bolting off the sofa. "Tyler, do something. Tell them she gave it to me. Tell them she said I could have it." "Did she give it to you, Ms. Lynn?" Officer Miller asked, his voice hardening. I thought she didn't want it." Brooke stammered, her voice shrill, her mask of sweet innocence tearing apart at the seams. "It was in the back. She never wears it. It's just fur. It's just animal skin." "So you took it without permission," Miller stated flatly. He unclipped the handcuffs from his belt. "Turn around and put your hands behind your back, Ms. Lynn." The metallic click of the cuffs echoed through the penthouse like a gunshot. Brooke let out a blood-curdling scream. Tyler, don't let them take me. Call your dad. Call a lawyer." Tyler lunged toward the officers. "Hey. You can't arrest her. Do you know who my family is? My father is Richard Vance. You're making a huge mistake." The second officer stepped firmly into Tyler's chest, pushing him back with an outstretched forearm. "Sir, step back immediately, or you will be arrested for obstruction of justice. Stand down." I stood by the doorway, arms crossed, watching the spectacle with clinical detachment. As they walked Brooke toward the door, her makeup smeared across her cheeks in dark, muddy streaks, she glared at me with pure, unadulterated venom. "You ruin everything, Chloe," she spat, thrashing against Miller's grip. "You think you're so much better than me just because you were born rich. You're pathetic. Tyler never loved you. He spent every night you were away in London in my bed. Did you hear me? In my bed." The room fell deathly quiet. Tyler's face drained of what little color remained. He looked at me, his eyes wide with absolute horror. "Chloe, she's lying, she's just hysterical, she's trying to drag me down with her." I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. In fact, a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying simply evaporated from my chest. "I know," I said softly, looking at Tyler. "Her perfume has been on your pillows for 3 months, Tyler. I just wanted to see how far you two would go before you proved to the entire world exactly what you are." I turned to Officer Miller. "I'll be down at the precinct first thing tomorrow morning to give my formal sworn statement." "Thank you, Ms. Henderson," Miller nodded, steering the screaming Brooke out into the corridor. The heavy front door clicked shut. Silence rushed into the room like cold water into a sinking ship. Tyler stood frozen in the center of the living room, his hands trembling at his sides. The facade of the polished, charming prep school golden boy was completely shattered. "Chloe," he whispered, his voice cracking. He took a hesitant step toward me, reaching out. "Please. You have to listen to me." "Brooke," she came on to me. She took advantage of how stressed I was with the company. "It meant nothing. You're the one I'm going to marry. Our families, our entire future is built on this." "Our family's future?" I let out a dry, hollow chuckle. "No, Tyler. Your family's future was built on this." I walked over to the entryway table, picked up my handbag, and slung it over my shoulder. "I called our building management 10 minutes ago," I said calmly. "Because both our names are on the deed, I cannot legally lock you out tonight. But I have already instructed my attorneys to file a petition for partition by sale in the morning. The court will order this property liquidated, and the proceeds split. In the meantime, I've hired a private security team. They will be here in 20 minutes to oversee the removal of every single piece of furniture, art, and decor that was purchased with my personal credit card." "You can't strip the place," Tyler gasped. "Watch me," I said. "And by the way, you might want to call your father before midnight." Tyler blinked, panic flaring in his eyes. "Why? What did you do?" "I didn't do anything," I replied as I pressed the elevator call button. "I simply sent my father a text message in London. He was in the middle of a breakfast meeting with the board of Henderson Global Shipping." The elevator doors chimed and slid open. "What did the text say, Chloe?" Tyler begged, following me to the threshold, looking like a drowning man. "What did you tell him?" I stepped into the mirrored cab, turned around, and looked him straight in the eyes. I told him the engagement is off, and that the Henderson Group should immediately initiate a comprehensive forensic audit of Vance Logistics subcontracting invoices. Tyler's knees visibly buckled. The elevator doors slid shut, cutting off his desperate scream. The penthouse suite at the Four Seasons was quiet, bathed in the amber glow of the city skyline. I sat by the floor-to-ceiling glass, a cup of chamomile tea steaming on the table beside my laptop. Across from me sat Arthur Pendleton, the Henderson family's chief legal counsel for over 25 years. A man in his late 50s with razor-sharp eyes and silver hair, Arthur looked over the stack of files with the precise, methodical focus of a surgeon. "The criminal complaint is airtight, Chloe," Arthur said, tapping a red pen against the police report. "Grand larceny in the first degree, accompanied by criminal mischief. Given the market value of the fur and her deliberate actions documented on your security feeds and her own social media admissions, she's looking at mandatory state prison time if convicted, or at best, an excruciatingly expensive plea deal with complete restitution." "And what about Tyler?" I asked. "We've served him the formal partition action for the condo," Arthur replied, with a thin, predatory smile. "Furthermore, we've filed a civil lien against his personal assets for the 6 months of unpaid rent Brooke accumulated, given that Tyler signed as her co-guarantor on the lease agreement last year." "Did you know he signed that?" "I suspected he did," I murmured. "He always loved playing the benevolent protector when it didn't cost him a dime." My phone rang on the glass table. The caller ID flashed, Richard Vance, Tyler's father. Arthur glanced at the screen, then up at me. "Do you want me to handle it?" "No," I said, picking up the phone and pressing speaker. "I want to hear this myself." I swiped the screen. "Mr. Vance." "Chloe." "Sweetheart." Richard Vance's voice exploded through the speaker, thick with forced warmth, though the ragged edge of panic was impossible to conceal. "Thank God you picked up. I've been trying to reach your father in London, but his assistant keeps routing me to legal. There must be some colossal misunderstanding." "There is no misunderstanding, Mr. Vance," I said evenly. "Chloe, listen to me," Richard pleaded, his breath coming in shallow gasps. "I just finished tearing Tyler a new one. He's an idiot. A spoiled, reckless idiot. But this, canceling the Henderson Maritime Logistics contract, demanding an immediate audit of our past 3 years of invoices. Chloe, that will freeze our credit lines. We have 4 container ships docking in New Jersey tomorrow morning that we won't be able to unload without those funds. It will bankrupt us. By Friday. Then you should have raised a son who understood the value of loyalty, Mr. Vance, I replied coldly. Chloe, please. Tyler loves you. He made a stupid, immature mistake with that little parasite girl. He's ready to do anything. He will issue a public apology. On his knees. We will buy you 10 mink coats. We'll sign over whatever prenuptial terms your father demands. Mr. Vance, I interrupted, my voice dropping an octave, razor sharp. Tonight. At my birthday gala, in front of 60 people, your son watched another woman slap me across the face and rewarded her with $10,000. He then took that same woman to my home, let her ruin my property, and told me that her feelings mattered more than my dignity. He was blind, Chloe. He wasn't blind. He was comfortable, I said. He thought that because my family is polite, we are weak. He thought that because I loved him, I was a fool. You built your company's entire expansion on the assumption that my father's generosity was guaranteed by my marriage. I took a slow sip of tea. The audit begins tomorrow at 8 in the morning. If your books are clean, you have nothing to fear from the legal team. If they aren't, well, I suggest you retain a very good criminal defense attorney for your corporate officers. Chloe. Don't do this. You're destroying our lives. No, I whispered. You destroyed your own. I'm just refusing to pay for the cleanup. I ended the call and blocked the number. Arthur smiled, raising his coffee cup in a silent toast. Your father would be exceptionally proud, Chloe. He is, I said, glancing at a message on my screen from my dad. Show them no mercy, sweetheart. The yacht is fueled if you want to fly out to Monaco for the weekend. I set the phone down. Now, let's talk about Brooke's social media. By 9 o'clock the following morning, Brooke Lynn had been released on bail, funded, to no one's surprise, by Tyler maxing out his personal American Express card before his father could freeze his accounts. And, true to her narcissistic nature, Brooke couldn't stay quiet. She posted an edited, heavily filtered video on TikTok and Instagram. In the video, Brooke was sitting in the front seat of Tyler's sports car, wearing oversized sunglasses, dabbing at her dry eyes with a tissue. Hey guys. I'm making this video through tears because I can't stay silent anymore, she sobbed to her 100,000 followers. Last night, at a private party, a so-called friend, someone with extreme wealth and privilege, violently attacked me. She slapped me 12 times in a row just because of a harmless TikTok trend. When I tried to get my things from our apartment, she framed me for destroying her clothes and had the police arrest me. The rich really think they can buy justice and abuse people with no consequences. Please share this. Don't let her silence me. The video caught fire instantly. Within 2 hours, it had racked up 3 million views. The comments section was a cesspool of outrage. Name and drop the rich bully. 12 slaps. That's assault. Put her in prison. Eat the rich. Who is she? Expose her family business. Tyler even shared the post from his private account, adding a caption, standing by the truth. Violence is never the answer, no matter how much money your family has. Sitting in the executive boardroom of the Henderson Tower, surrounded by our public relations director, Marcus Vance, no relation to Tyler, and our digital forensics team, I watched the view count tick upward. They're trying to create a public smear campaign to force a settlement, Marcus noted, tapping his pen against the polished mahogany table. If the public narrative paints you as an abusive, elitist bully, the district attorney might feel political pressure to downgrade Brooke's felony charges to a misdemeanor or drop them entirely. She really thinks life is a scripted drama where the loudest victim wins, I said, leaning back in my leather chair. Does the banquet hall have the full, uninterrupted 4K security footage from last night? Yes, ma'am, Marcus replied, clicking a remote. The giant wall monitor lit up. The footage was pristine. It showed the entire sequence, me standing with my eyes closed, smiling as the birthday cake was rolled out, Brooke stepping up from behind, winding up her arm with malicious force, and cracking me across the face 3 consecutive times, laughing hysterically into her phone camera, Tyler laughing, pulling out his phone, and typing on Venmo, Brooke mocking me to my face, and then my swift, measured retaliation. We also have the building lobby security footage, Marcus added, switching screens. Showing Brooke entering the penthouse wearing your clothes, the hallway audio recording of her boasting to Tyler about ruining your coat, and the dashcam footage from your sports car in the garage where Tyler tried to physically coerce you into an apology. Good, I said, standing up. Marcus, I don't want a standard PR statement. I don't want corporate jargon. What would you like, Miss Henderson? Release the raw footage. Unedited. Synchronize the audio. Include the high-resolution photographs of the ruined $160,000 sable coat, the Christie's invoice, and the official police incident report showing Brooke's arrest for grand larceny. I looked at the screen, where Brooke's tearful, fake face was frozen on pause, and pinned the Venmo receipt from Tyler Vance with the memo line, for slapping Chloe. Let the internet see exactly what kind of harmless joke they're defending. The internet is a volatile beast. When it smells blood, it bites, but when it realizes it has been lied to, it devours the liar whole. Within 45 minutes of the Henderson Group's verified account releasing the complete video dossier under the title, The Anatomy of a Setup, The Truth Behind the Gala Assault, the digital landscape inverted with nuclear force. Brooke's viral video didn't just collapse, it became the centerpiece of universal mockery and disgust. Content creators broke down the footage frame by frame. The sheer, deliberate cruelty on Brooke's face during the initial slaps, unprovoked, malicious, purely opportunistic, was undeniable. Tyler's smirking Venmo transfer made him an instant pariah. The comments turned into an avalanche. She slapped her first on her birthday while making a wish? Brooke only got 12 slaps? She deserved 50. Look at Tyler paying her on Venmo. What a disgusting, spineless snake. She used a $160,000 custom Parisian fur coat as a bath mat? That's pure unhinged jealousy. Lock her up. This isn't a prank. This is psychotic behavior. By mid-afternoon, Brooke's sponsored deals began dropping like flies. Boutique brands, fast fashion labels, and supplement companies posted public disassociations. Her follower count went into a freefall, shedding hundreds of thousands of users by the hour. Then came the second blow. The Henderson Group's legal team filed an expedited emergency injunction against Tyler Vance and Brooke Lynn for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress, attaching a $50 million damage claim. At 4 p.m., I received a notification from my bank. Tyler had attempted to transfer funds from our joint household maintenance account to cover Brooke's private attorney retainer. The transaction was declined. Because 2 hours earlier, Arthur Pendleton had successfully petitioned the court to freeze all joint assets pending the outcome of the partition and fraud lawsuits. Tyler was officially broke. 2 days later, the eviction execution took place. I stood across the street from the luxury high-rise, leaning against the hood of my freshly detailed sports car, wearing dark sunglasses and an ivory trench coat. Beside me were 2 uniformed county sheriffs and a team of professional movers. The elevator doors at the lobby opened, and Tyler and Brooke emerged under the watchful escort of a deputy. Brooke was carrying 2 battered plastic garbage bags containing her clothes. Her phone was dead, her influencer career was obliterated, and the reality of a looming state prison sentence had hollowed out her cheeks. She looked like a ghost wandering through a nightmare. Tyler was dragging a single rolling suitcase. His designer suit was wrinkled, his hair unwashed, and the arrogance that once defined his jawline had been replaced by a sunken, defeated hollow. When Tyler saw me standing by my car, he stopped dead in his tracks. He dropped his suitcase handle and sprinted across the street, dodging a honking yellow cab. Chloe, he screamed, his voice raw. Chloe, please. The 2 sheriffs instantly moved to block him, hands resting on their holsters. Sir, maintain a distance of 50 feet. There is a temporary restraining order in place. Tyler stopped, panting, clutching his chest. He looked at me over the officers' shoulders, tears finally spilling over his eyes. Chloe, my dad kicked me out, he sobbed, completely unashamed of the pedestrians staring at him. He removed me from the board. He cut off my credit cards. The bank is foreclosing on our family estate because your father pulled the shipping contracts. I have nowhere to go. I took off my sunglasses, looking at him with neither hatred nor pity. Just total, unyielding emptiness. That sounds like a personal problem, Tyler. I gave up everything for you, he screamed, his voice cracking into high-pitched hysteria. We were together for 4 years. 4 years, Chloe. Doesn't that mean anything to you? It did, I said calmly. Until you decided that 4 years of devotion was worth less than a cheap thrill with a jealous parasite. Behind him, Brooke caught up, clutching her trash bags. When she heard Tyler's words, her face contorted with rage. A parasite? Brooke shrieked, dropping her bags onto the sidewalk and lunging at Tyler from behind. She grabbed his hair, yanking him backward. You coward. You told me you were going to leave her for me. You told me you only stayed with her for her father's money. You promised you'd protect me, and now I'm going to prison because of your pathetic family. Get off me, you crazy bitch. Tyler roared, spinning around and shoving Brooke hard onto the pavement. You ruined my life. If you hadn't pulled that stupid stunt at the gala, I'd be married to an heiress. You're nothing but a gutter rat. Brooke screamed, scrambling up from the asphalt and launching herself at him. With her nails out, scratching across his face, drawing bright red streaks of blood down his cheeks. The two sheriffs stepped in with practiced efficiency, wrestling the two of them apart, pinning Tyler against a lamppost and forcing Brooke back to the sidewalk in fresh handcuffs. The crowd of onlookers pulled out their phones, recording every second of the degrading, violent brawl between the disgraced scion and his bankrupt mistress. I put my sunglasses back on. I turned around, opened the door of my car, and slipped into the leather driver's seat. I started the engine. The engine purred with smooth, effortless power. As I pulled out into the sunny afternoon traffic, I glanced into the rearview mirror one last time. Tyler was on his knees, weeping blood and tears onto the filthy sidewalk, while Brooke was being shoved into the back of a police cruiser, screaming obscenities into the void. I turned up the radio, felt the warm breeze against my face, and stepped on the gas. My 25th birthday had started with a slap. But my real life, unburdened, untouchable, and entirely my own, began right now.